Every once in a while, it's good to stop and smell the roses. Unfortunately, there are no roses in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. There is, however, plenty of other stuff to stop and smell. I'm about to take you on a tour of a few things that you never stop to look at in Super Mario... What's this game? The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. This game is really big, so, we'll probably do more than one of these. Let's begin. Number 1. The first thing, this is something that always, I'm sure other people have looked at it aside from me, but in terms of putting it together with what I'm actually looking at, this is something that always kind of, made me feel a little skeevy. You guys realize that when they say Bokoblin Fang, this is a tooth. And those are like the roots of the tooth. Like if you've ever gotten a root canal, this is the part that's inside your gums. To be honest, the roots are not very deep. So it makes sense that it would have fallen out upon an untimely death. And also, we can observe that this, a little bit of plaque buildup, to be honest, which is kind of funny if you think about somebody modeling this. But you got a little bit of plaque buildup, here, a little bit of plaque buildup. Other than that, the tooth looks like it's in pretty good shape. But also then when you back up and you look at everything that pops out upon the death of a Bokoblin. So I want you to make note of this tooth. Make note of this is a Bokoblin horn. Again, this is something that has broken off of the body. And then, of course, we have... It says Bokoblin guts, but... this is a beating heart, right? It says guts, but given the way that it's moving and the way that it looks, this looks like a 3-valve heart. So keep all that stuff in mind, and then follow me over here. So number 1, that's the horn, right? Busted off of his head. So you can see there, number 1, horn. And number 2, tooth. Ow. Right there. Look at that. Those are the teeth. Obviously, the size, significant difference. I guess people used to wear teeth necklaces, so maybe it's not that weird. I guess that was weird, too. But whatever. Number 2. Now, number 2, this is actually one I just kind of thought of now because I never noticed it while we were looking at this. So this one's going to be very quick. Kind of a bonus one. Did you guys know that the inside of the Bokoblin's mouth is like a black paint neon concert? Maybe it's just this color in particular. Look at his mouth. It is so intense. I don't think I've ever spent this long actually staring at the face of one of these guys. And also, let's notice how when he pulls the bow back, he gets all shaky because he's malnourished, probably. Look at that. He's like trying his hardest to steady the bow and he's getting nervous. Does he close one of his eyes when he aims the bow? Oh my God, he does. I never knew that. All right, so this is number 2, Bokoblin detail. His mouth is real neon, pink tongue. I guess the tongue is actually, think of this, same color as his heart, isn't it? So you can figure if you cut him open, he's all probably purple up in there. You got purple gums, pink gums actually. His gums look very healthy. And he closes his little eye when he aims the bow. I never knew that. That makes me feel kind of bad for just killing him. But it's gotta happen. Number 3. All right, number 3. Have you ever looked at this horse? I want to take a real good look at it because I find it kind of scary. What's it really built out of? I don't know, just a bunch of cloth and stuff. You got teeth made out of wood. I guess this is kind of like the Breath of the Wild equivalent of the, you ever go to those gas stations with the giant dinosaurs? But it's just a giant advertisement for this stable business. There aren't very many businesses in Hyrule at this point. In fact, there's really no chain businesses other than this. There's about 1,000 little details you can look at in this stable if you really wanted to. But properly looking at this horse's giant scary teeth, it's just kind of weird to me. Just kind of weird. Something I never paid attention to, that's all. Before we go on to the later part of the video, I'm sorry I have to do it. Did you know that this video was actually selected by one of our patrons, Glenn Grimmett, at the Egg Controller tier? If you join the Patreon at the $10 tier, the Egg Controller tier, you also can tell me a video you want me to make and I will make it for you. There's plenty of other good stuff on the Patreon. This is a viewer supported channel, so if you have an extra $3 a month and you want to see more video content that's exclusive to Patreon, please head over there and consider supporting. If you don't want to, if all you want to do is just leave it a comment, leave it a like, I love seeing those numbers go up. It makes me feel good. I love reading your comments and I read all of them, so just do that. I appreciate it very much. And if you just want to be one of those people who lurks and doesn't comment anything, hey, You know, that's what I do most of the time. So I actually support most people I like on Patreon, actually, but I don't comment. I never comment. I just give them a couple bucks every month. That's how I show my support. Okay, sorry for interrupting. Thank you so much. Back to the video. Number 4. Next up, this one's an interesting one for you. Have you ever looked at what happens when Link gets struck by lightning? Wow, thank God for Mipha. Now, when it actually strikes Link, it's pretty difficult to narrate it. So what we're going to do is we will take a weapon that we don't care about, for example, the Master Sword, and we're going to watch very carefully and hope that it gets struck, and then we're going to freeze frame it. Strike me down, Zeus. You don't have the balls. Look at that. My God. If I could freeze frame that and walk around in it, I would stay there for hours. It's so pretty. All right, here, I went to the Thundra Plateau so that I can get struck by lightning and see how it looks when it comes directly down into the camera. All right, here we go. Straight up into the cloud. Oh, God. Jesus Christ. All right, that was not as exciting as I was hoping. And I'm also very nearly dead. Number 5. And the last thing I want to show you today is a little self-indulgent, I admit, because it's kind of in my wheelhouse, and maybe it's not something you're as interested in. But anytime you get an open world game, and there's some great Skyrim glitches, for example, that will allow you to explore this more. But anytime you have a really big open world game, the game needs a way to render things in the distance without using all the memory that would be sort of required to render the whole object in perfect detail. So they have these low poly versions of all these buildings, all these objects that will replace the original object when you get far enough away. Probably not a perfect explanation, but that's more or less what's going on. Breath of the Wild, of course, has this too, and it has some that I think, particularly in this instance, are sort of stunning. Let me just kill these stupid thingies. There we go. Thanks, buddy. But one of my favorites, or what has always been one of my favorites, is going to be the Gerudo Desert, which is going to be this right here. You can tell, especially when you look at the shrine, how small of an object this actually is, how poorly designed of a fake replacement this is, you know. It becomes like a toy world out in the distance. But it's just such a fascinating little thing. Why is it getting all smoggy? Oh, because the sun's rising. Wow. Man, talk about beautiful skies. This game doesn't have great sky boxes, but it sure does have great lighting for the sky. I just wish there was a way, some sort of glitch that I could do to allow myself to walk in the low poly unrendered version of Hyrule in this game, you know. To walk up and to walk around all of these weird ghostly objects. Especially when you look at things like those trees. I mean, it's getting all hard to see now because it's daytime. Look at that. I mean, that looks terrible. And it's right there. Let's see if we can pinpoint exactly when it switches over. Oh, it kind of looks like, yeah, the rocks close by already switched over to the next. You can see a little more detail there now. Yeah, see, look. Oh, we saw one just pop right there. So you got fancy rocks. You got that now. It's starting to look like a real place. But those trees, man, they remind me of like trees in the background of a racing game in an arcade in the 90s. And I like it a lot. I love stuff like that. I just love it. Okay, that's the end of the list. Alright, that's going to bring us to the end of another one of these videos. A couple of interesting little things that you may have never seen before in Breath of the Wild. I'm sure there's a lot more, but I think the interesting thing in Breath of the Wild is it's such a detailed game in terms of art design that there's not as much sort of throwaway stuff that you would have looked past. There's a lot of detail in the game, but it's all stuff that when you look at it, it kind of feels like you're supposed to have looked at it, you know? Whereas when you look at a game like Mario 64, you have all these weird things that were not, maybe not thoughtfully put together, that you're not maybe supposed to stop and look at. Whereas there's so much in Breath of the Wild that feels so thoroughly crafted, you know? It makes it interesting trying to look for little things that you hadn't really seen or hadn't really thought of before, you know? If you enjoyed this video, you know, I said it earlier, leave it a like, leave it a comment. I've got a Patreon. It helps out a lot, but as many of you know, I make music in my free time. It's one of my favorite hobbies. You can probably find it if you do a little bit of clever Googling or ask around in the comments. Speaking of music, the only other thing I have left to say to you is enjoy the song today. Thanks so much. See you next time.
And I hate it, and I hate them, and they're like me, so you know how I feel about myself. It ain't ugly how I met you. I've got telephone fatigue from hearing from you all the time.